Good afternoon, folks. It looks like we've got about 6 of you here. Just wait for a few more to come on. Obviously, we've got the talking head chat bar if you want to ask any questions. But what I'll do is run through some of the key things that have happened this week and just give an idea about what's potentially going to spring upon us over the next few weeks, particularly from the 15th of June, really. As I said to the children today, they've been fantastic, and those of you who've been on site, I say on site in terms of the car park area and the pavements, thank you so much for following the routes and paying attention to those. It's really important. Still a few that are going the wrong way, but I'm sure we'll get used to it in the end. But thank you for those. Yeah, as I said, the children seem to have enjoyed themselves, and I'm sure that they will definitely get something out of being back in school, which is nice. Just for the key worker families, really important that you keep your dates coming in. I think we've got majority for the next couple of weeks or so, but if you know of any changes to your working schedule, please send those in, and we can add you to the list. And as I said before, I think it's really important that if the key worker group continues to escalate, I do have a vision for reception, the current reception and year 6. Obviously, the key worker group is the most vulnerable, the priority group, and if that starts to become larger than 15 per bubble group, then we may need to consider how we move forward. At the moment, it's manageable, and we are able to keep reception in year 6 in, as well as the key worker group. But I thought I'd just throw that out there because that's key for us to continue with the offer for reception in year 6, and indeed going forward if other year groups are likely to come back. Now, on that note, we don't know what that looks like yet. We haven't been told. I still feel that we will find it difficult to manage all cohorts back in school, as much as I would like to see the children, as much as perhaps you would want them back in school. But the provision would look very different for everybody, and we'd have to change that. At the moment, the provision is what we can offer and sustain. And if we're asked from the 15th of June, which is where obviously other people are potentially going back to work, that's where we may see an increase in the key worker group. Whether non-essential shops that open or businesses that open will be classed as key workers, I don't know yet. I'm not sure if there's been any indication on that. And if anyone does know about that, then please shout out. So, yeah, it will be difficult to maintain or sustain provision for the other cohorts if we're asked to. And if we do have to do it, then we will have to look at how that would look for the rest of the school, including reception in year 6. So yeah, we'll just have to obviously watch this space really and see what the government decide, and hopefully there'll be a bit more clarity in the coming weeks. But I certainly think from the 15th of June, we'll know a little bit more about the other non-essential workers going back to work, and that might have an impact on school. As I was saying, just to remind you about the site plan, it's important to follow the arrows, not to go back the way you've come. So it's essentially that clockwise if you're a key worker, reception or preschool, making sure you go around that way and out. And obviously year 6 is kind of an anti-clockwise, drop them off and back, and joining up with the rest of the parents leaving the site. So that's important to follow those. I will be sending out, and I suppose one of the key things that you might be considering is summer and summer holidays and what that will look like in terms of school provision. All I would say is there's loads of things to consider here in terms of teachers making sure they're having a break, because as much as we're not at school, we're working just as hard as we would be if we were at school at home. And I think everyone needs a break, even yourselves and the children. They need a bit of a turn off from everything, because even though you think it's a bit of a break right now, it really isn't, especially for those at home, obviously are diligently doing the homeschooling. So We are looking into some holidays, and at the moment, from what I'm hearing from the local government, is that majority of schools will not be offering provision in terms of curricular academic, but they potentially could be offering a kind of a PUs, like our Parton Manor out of service provision, more for childcare, which potentially could be a paid service. Again, I don't know exactly how that looks yet, but I think the government will be asking school communities to facilitate provision for those key worker families. And I'll give you more information about that as soon as we have it. But what I will do is I'll try and get ahead of the game a little bit with this and find out from our community what people would need, if they would need anything at all. And so I will send out another survey asking you to tell me if that's something you'd be interested in or you would need to use, just so we got an idea about if it's sustainable, if we can manage it, because I'd also send out a survey to the staff whether or not they'd be willing to do so. I would have to do that. So yeah, that's kind of where we are at the moment. Nothing. I mean, to be fair, I think things have worked pretty well this week. They've seemed reasonably seamless, a bit like clockwork, really. The children have come in. We haven't had any issues with them leaving parents, and they've just got on. I would say, and I'm happy to say, I know there's only a few here today, but I understand that the children have preferred the schooling as opposed to the homeschooling. And I don't think it's because some of the things you're doing at home. I just merely think they're just happy to have a bit of routine back again. The kind of 9 till 3, particularly year 6, like to know when things are starting, when things are ending. I think sometimes children just like, I think with the homeschooling, it can be a bit more flexible and fluid, which is fine. So yeah, it was nice to see that. We've had some nice pieces of work and displays are going up around the school for what the children are producing, so that's great. Regarding the parent forum, sorry I moved it today till 4 o'clock. It would ordinarily be straight after the assembly, but I think from now on, until I have new information, I'll send you. I'll still keep it that 10 o'clock slot on a Friday, but I'll let you know if it's going to happen or not, because I need to make sure that I want to give you information rather than just a catch up. But if you really want me to talk about other things, if you've got questions, you can always contact me via the normal channels on Dojo or my email address. But from now on, I'll keep the parents forum unscheduled, and I'll let you know when the next one will be. But it will be, if there is one, on a Friday, either this time after school or at 10 o'clock. I'll let you know. So yeah, any questions from you folks? Any concern? Anything that you've noticed this week? If you're one of the 16 that are listening, that you've noticed, anything you'd like to offer, then please do so. I'll give you a few minutes just to consider that. But that's essentially all from me for now. Got something coming through. Oh yeah, I'm sure parents aren't necessarily listening, but it is important that parents don't come into the school building, and I think those that have come into the school building may not have told us at the beginning of the day they're collecting their children a little earlier. It is important that if you're dropping your children off and you are collecting them earlier, please let the teachers know so they can keep a note of that and get your children ready. I think that's really important, because obviously we can't have parents on the actual building site in terms of inside the school. So please just keep us aware of your schedule. If you're collecting a little early, let us know and we'll make sure the children are ready. I had a few parents this week asking about next year still, and I still stand firm on let's see what September looks like, but I'm still very keen to make sure the children spend some time in their previous classroom or their current classroom before they move up to their new classes. And what I'll do is, once I've confirmed staffing and where people are going to be, which is what I'm doing at the moment, I will communicate that to you. I think particularly for our year 2s going up to year 3, we'll probably either post or send out to you notification of classes and things like that. But I'll make that clear in my normal letter that I normally send home in July, where children are going to go. So that's really important. I think also transition is going to be different. Obviously, some children won't necessarily, particularly year 2s to year 3, won't necessarily have the transition that they've had prior in prior year groups. So we understand that. So I will absolutely make sure if we start in September, because if you've seen the term dates, we start off with the double inset, and I just want to kind of just put out there now that I may be reviewing that initial start to September based on what's been happening, to allow us to have enough time for children to spend some time in their previous classrooms, and then to be ready for their new classrooms. So I'll contact you and I'll communicate how that will work. And I think the teachers will definitely require that time to get ready and to make sure they've spoken to their previous class and get ready for the next class, which unfortunately they can't do at the moment. And that's something we would always do in this term. And you probably remember the move up mornings that they do. And unfortunately, we won't be able to do that this term. Or as it stands, we can't do that this term. So please, I'll post, I'll email Dojo that information, and I'll obviously write to you how that's going to look. I just need to confirm things with the leadership team around school first. And in terms of end of year information, the staff are still writing annual reports. We've been told not to, or just to hold fire with it. But from my point of view, they're still writing the reports. I've had loads in. I'm reading through all your children's reports, and they will still come out per usual. All I would say is that we've put the attainment grades, and again, I'll write to you about this because obviously I haven't got a wide audience today. The attainment grades for the summer term will mimic and be the same as the spring term grades, for obvious reasons. So that they will come out to you in July, and it might be the point that you are allowed on site to come and collect those in July. We'll see. Again, that's all based on what we're allowed to do. So those things will still happen. There's lots of other things that we would normally do in the summer term. Obviously, the things we can't do on site, but things for particularly our year 5s. We've got the year 5s here listening in. I know you'll be concerned about potentially the year 6 residential next year and getting that booked in, starting the payments and that. So as soon as we've got the clearance and we can book things, we will, and keep you aware of that. So please don't feel that we've forgotten about some things that are happening next year. We know we have a process we go through in the summer term, and we always look at what things we've done by what dates, and we'll endeavour to make sure we communicate the things we need to for you before the end of this academic year. Right, okay, folks. Thanks to those of you who stopped by. If you've got anything else to ask, I'll give you a few seconds, and then enjoy your weekend. Unfortunately, the weather hasn't been as accommodating for us today, I don't think, which is a shame. And no doubt I'll see some of you next week if you're dropping children off. Okay. Right, I've got no more other questions. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Okay, so yes, it is. The May authorised holiday week will still go ahead next year. And from what I can remember, I think, from what I remember, it is let me just have a look for you. It's week beginning 24th of May. Yeah, it's not the 17th. This week beginning the 24th of May is the authorised holiday week. So that will still go ahead next year. Obviously, we didn't have it this year. I think the term dates are on the website, so just double check that. I'm fairly certain it is the 24th of May. or it could be the 17th. I'll just double check now for you. It is yeah, it's definitely the 24th. Yeah, it's definitely the 24th of May next year. And the same criteria will stand with that. Obviously, at the moment, as you know, there's no fines for children who aren't attending currently, and that's fine, and rightly so. I know some of you are finding it tough in terms of if you booked summer holidays over the summer holiday period, about how that might look if you took a holiday in the autumn term during term time. And I'm hoping for a bit more guidance on that. I can't see how parents would be penalised for that, if I'm honest. But I've heard that quite a lot of people have maybe used the voucher system if you've had your holidays cancelled, and might have changed it to next year. Cool. Right, folks, anything else? Is that okay for now? I think everything I wanted to cover, just a quick update, but thank you for either texting or emailing any questions. That's great. Keep them coming in. I'll endeavour to do as much to get back to you as quickly as I possibly can. And obviously, stay safe this weekend, and I'll speak to you next week. Okay, thanks, folks. Take care. Bye-bye.